Warm welcome to Abode Masters, Brother Joe Huang, Hualien Dharma team, and brothers and sisters around the globe to Saturday Hualien Dharma Talk. A very good morning. Let us start the session today. Respect for the teacher and the path. Excerpted from Master Cheng Yan's speech. Families are deeply connected and neighborhoods are filled with joy. No matter how many city members there are, we are still limited. It is by connecting with the people in our neighborhood who are just like us, where every family is linked and every neighborhood is filled with joy. Mutual support among neighbors is a success. Give your best and don't let it stress you out. Once you have done what you can, let go and don't become emotionally attached. Everyone must use wisdom and continually care for one another. Excerpted by Sister Ho Chin Xin Chin Tzu in Singapore. Now let us send our sincere prayers into the 10 directions. May the Saha land be free from disaster and peace prevails in the world. Let us sing the prayer song with sincere piousness.
In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. All my heart is filled with sincere prayer. From all corners of the world, let us join our hearts and pray for a world of harmony and peace. In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. May all the Buddhas hear my prayer. All united with one heart, let us end our hate with love. May there be no suffering hereafter.
May all minds be purified. May there be peace in the community. May there be no disasters in this world. Together we pray for universal love and blessing. With loving respect, gratitude, and confidence, let us wish every person in our lives a healthy body, an enlightened mind, and total fulfillment in universal love. Now let us expand this consciousness to include every person in the world, every being in the universe. Let our unified love make this wonderful world even better. Let us all immerse ourselves in the joyful embrace of universal love. Before we hear the wonderful sharing, let us invite our boat masters to lead us in paying homage to Triple Gem. Let us pay our respects for these teachings and explanations to the Buddha and Master Cheng Yen by making 3 sincere bows. Please rise. Palms together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. And a bow to our beloved abode masters who could join us today. All right. These are our speakers for today. We will have Brother Huang first, followed by me and Dr. Charles Johnson. Okay. Before we hear from Brother Joe, I shall do the sharing from last week. Okay, quickly do this. Okay, last week we had 2 main speakers. That was Master Huang and Brother David Liu. Okay, Master Huang spoke, why go vegan? When young, we ate what was served, never stopped to care, not knowing the cries hidden deep in there. At Tengbing, meat fills the altar and plate. But now we reflect, is this truly fate? Tzu showed us we all have a choice to listen with heart and not just follow the noise. We once burned paper without a second thought. Now we ask, what harm has tradition brought? Videos relieve a mother cow's deep pain, a child taken, her milk sold for gain. This cruelty hides behind cold grocery aisles, disguised in packaging and corporate smiles. Veganism is more than food on a dish. It's choosing kindness over every wish. Belts and bags, and even uniforms we wear, should honor lives with conscious care. We question now what we were taught to trust. Is milk still sacred or simply unjust? They said 4 glasses would make us grow, but at what cost do we really know? Studies show no strength in milk's sweet lie, but higher risks of diseases as the years go by. Why drink from cows, not from our own kind? Why take what nature never had in mind? Lactose harms most, yet profits rise still, built on suffering against our will. Now we awaken, plant choices in hand for people, planet, and every land. And Brother David Liu spoke on some insights. He mainly spoke about the affinity with Myanmar regarding the tragedy of the earthquake that happened there. Tzu is ready, our hearts are already there, but Myanmar's gates are closed with silent despair. No visa granted, no path we can tread. Only local hands move where we cannot be led. Affinities ripen only when time is right. Some stay in the shadow away from the light. Tzu can only wire our help, though borders say no. Love still flows where seeds can grow. The Tzu CEO room stands quiet, no crowd to fill, but still we give in any disaster, and still we will. Malaysians ask, why no call to give? But Master knows when the heart must live. To help when it's easy is not the test. True practice shows when denied the rest. Everyday truths, not just in strife. That's how we live the Dharma life. 1,000 days mean little if one heart forgets. So we walk the path with no regrets, not for the stage or applause we seek, but to answer the cries of the lost and weak. It's not the result, but how we begin. The journey itself reveals what's within. Mozambique may rise, Myanmar may wait. Affinity decides, not fortune or fate. The road is long, the climb is steep, but vows we've made, we strive to keep. Okay, Gan for listening. I shall now hand over to Brother Chin to introduce our next speaker. Brother Chin, over to you.
And so much, switching for another wondrous summary in your poetic ways. All right, so this morning we have Brother Joe supposed to come in. Let's see, it's Brother Joe. Yeah, it's going to give us his opinion on the Dharma Insights. So let's look forward, which we do every week. Brother Joe.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Brother Chin. I'm glad to be here. It's my honor to be here to share once again my insights after reading the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. We've been doing this for months now, following the Sutra of Infinite Meanings book study from Singapore. And we have made some progress. I just wanted to comment that I was listening to Sister Su Ching's poetic reminder of what happened last week. The part from Brother David Liu about the Myanmar. I think there were some sentences there that really caught me. And I think that thanks, Sister Su Ching, for recapping. And I think that every day we're making strides towards getting in there, trying to get our resources in there. Our volunteers are on site and they are doing the best they can. And it's just as Brother David said, that, you know, when it's easy, when it's easily accepted by everybody, there is no test in that. But especially when it's something like this, that requires Tzu Chi, requires wisdom to be able to bring forth what we can do. So a lot of times, you hear people saying that Tzu Chi is already, very rich, and so don't donate to Tzu Chi. Well, we are rich because we have a lot of members, and we are able to have more capabilities. But if you spread out these funds, what's going to happen is, in times like this, you would not be able to have a concerted effort. You would not have an effort like this to be able to push in, because any small charities out there, while it's important for the ecosystem to thrive, you will not have one single directive that's able to go in, and that's going to hinder. So sometimes it's important to go big. Sometimes it's important to be big, and that's required to push in. So just something that I wanted to share with you. I think that's something that sometimes we might be taking for granted. Many times, some of these help, it's not something that you can just wish and it will just happen. It doesn't work that way. So, okay, so let's begin with today's sharing. Today, we're going to continue where we left off last month due to my trip to the US. And it was sort of paused for a couple weeks. And but now we're coming back, and let's just do a brief review of previously what was happening on the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. So to quickly go into what we've been talking about, we talked about good teachers. We talked about the great teacher, the great guiding teachers. We talked about the importance of transforming the students to become teachers. And we have been talking about the actual examples of Buddha's students, where they transform themselves to become the teachers of the new generation. Because one of the things about being a good teacher is that, good students doesn't always become good teachers, but good teachers must be good students. And however, we're seeing that all these students, they are not perfect on their own. We're seeing that these are wonderful sages, yet on their own, they are imperfect. And they all have this potential to be great teachers. So throughout the journey, what they did was they learned to adjust, and they learned to make up for the deficiencies, their imperfections, making progress on self-betterment. That's what the whole point was, that it's important to know your mission. Your mission is to pass on the Dharma. Your mission is to cultivate yourself and then making sure that future generation can know and understand the Dharma. So along the way, they are making up for their deficiencies that they have, all the things that they lack, and then making progress. Not only that, but they're accumulating experience and knowledge so that they can learn to teach. And this is important because as a student, if you are thinking about becoming a teacher, then the way that you learn is going to be very different from if you are just a student. What that means is, if you are a student knowing that you are going to be a teacher one day, then you are going to observe how the teacher teaches. You're going to observe how the student reacts. If you're only acting as a student, then all you have to do is make sure that you get your materials, you understand the materials, and then you're able to pass all the exams. So the attitude is very different. So in chapter 7, in section 7 of chapter 1, this is exactly that, talking about praising the Buddha. This section is really talking about settled minds, right? Settled minds. When people with their minds that are settled, that means their container is open, their door is open, and they're ready and willing to receive. That means they have the right mindset, the ready to learn mindset. And this is very necessary for both the student and the teacher. Okay, so not deviating from the path of becoming a teacher of the future. They need to know this is what they are aiming to do. So the 80,000 Bodhisattva Mahasattvas, and also everybody rose from their seats and then to where Buddha was. So this was the mindset. They're all determined. They have all made great vows. They're willing to be the students, and they are vowing to be the future teachers. This is very important. Mindset is very important. That is why we always want our minds to be settled, so we don't forget what our goal was. We have made aspirations, and we don't want to forget what those were. We want to make sure that we remember this is what we want to do. And that's very important. That's why you have to stay focused. That's why you have to be determined. You have to be very willing. So what they did was the action, the gesture, made prostrations with their heads at the Buddha's feet and circumambulated the Buddha hundreds and thousands of times. And all this means they're humbling, they're giving in to the teaching. The circumambulate means circling around the Buddha with one center, multiple layers of circles. All these that we talked about before were representation of having the right mindset, focusing, humbling, giving into the teaching. And at the same time, with Buddha at the same center, we're walking around, meaning with your teaching as my guidance, I am walking on my path of life. Everybody has their different path of life. You might be in business, somebody else might be in school, somebody else might be doing manufacturing, whatever business, whatever work, whatever job you have. We are walking with Buddha's teaching. So with Buddha as the center of our teaching, or Master as our center of the teaching, we are all stretching from that center and then walking the path that is a circle with this diameter, with this radius from the center. So even though we all have different radius, because we all have different part of life, but we are walking with the same guidance from the Buddha at the center. So all this is talking about is attitude. For somebody, a good student, to become a good teacher, attitude is very important. The attitude is knowing that you're not just learning for yourself, you're learning to be the teacher. As I mentioned before, this attitude is very important. Without this attitude, the student will not be able to truly transcend and become the teacher of the future. You're learning for the future generation. You're not learning for yourself. You're learning for the people of the future. You are passing on this very, very important, very, very important and almost like the treasure you're passing on. It's like family heirloom you are passing on to the future generation. You have to really understand it, and you're learning to continue this teaching. The teaching will not disappear. However, the people knowing the teaching might disappear if it's not passed down. So we need to be the teacher to carry on the torch. So all these attitude is telling us that in order for a student to become the bearer of the Dharma, to become the teacher of the future, they need to have their right attitude. And this section is talking about that. This section is talking about, walking around the Buddha, their prostration. It's all talking about, I am using my gestures. I am using my actions to demonstrate my attitude. So how else was there, right? There are, according to the sutra, this is what we talked about, right? So much celestial flowers, celestial incense, celestial garments, celestial strings of jewels, celestial treasures, celestial serving dishes, bowls and vessels, and celestial flavors, right? All these things, celestial banners, celestial flags, celestial canopies, celestial musical instruments, celestial music. So all these things were there, right? We talked about this last month. All these things were there just to show and represent how important receiving this wisdom is. That's what all these things is. You want to use the best attitude. You want to be in your best condition when you are learning, because you're not only learning for yourself, you are learning for the future. You're learning to be the teacher. You're learning to make sure that this teaching never goes away. That's a lot of responsibility. So you have to have your gesture ready, and you have to have your top game, your best game. Everything here is the best, right? You're using celestial everything. And what does that mean? It means that you're taking all your best capacities, right? Your eyes are focused. Your ears are focused. Your mind is focused. It's not like you picking up your phone and checking your phone every 10 seconds. No, you're focused. Everything you do, the dress that you wear is going to be very formal. Every action you take is going to be very formal. Everything you do is going to treat it like the most important thing in the world. That's why everything is celestial. That's what this means. Okay? I don't believe it means we really go to the heaven and bring a whole bunch of those things down to earth and shower the Buddha. I don't believe that. I believe what this part is trying to tell you is that we are bringing out the best of what we can offer. Not just the material goods, but ourselves. My best focus, I'm giving to you. Hearing, I'm giving to you. Attention, I'm giving to you. My best faculties, my best eyes, everything, I'm giving to you, because this is that important, okay? So flowers, incense, banners, flags, canopies, all these celestial things, right? It doesn't mean that I am really grabbing the things from the heavens. It means that this is so important that I have to give my best everything. I dress the best. I put out the best. All the materials are the best that I can offer. Not only that, the most important thing that I can offer is my faculties. My eyes are trained on you. My hearing is all for you. My mind is all, attention is all focused and locked in on you. That's what's important in this part, okay? So this is requirement for Dharma learning. This is requirement for learning to become the teacher. We are preparing the mindset. We are preparing ourselves so that we can do this. We can learn and we can receive. So now we're moving on to this week in the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. This week, we're now going into section number 8, Great Lord of Sages. So we are just talking about speaking verses of praise with one voice, right? That's where we're talking about all the praises, the celestial everything, prostration, to the Buddha's feet, and also walking around with Buddha at the center. Those were all part of the praise. And I'm to tell you that the context is not actually all the celestial flowers flying down from heavens. I really believe it's people offering the best what they have, offering the best they have in terms of what they can wear, what they can offer. But the most important part is their mind is prepared. They're locked in, they're focused, they're preparing to learn from the great Lord of Sages. So now it goes into the actual praises, that was written in poetic form, in the short form. So it reads, supremely great and greatly awakened is the great Lord of Sages, with no defilement, no contamination, and no attachment. So this part is the actual verbal, oral phrases that was sing by the Sangha, by all the people in attendance. People sing out the praises. Now imagine, very soon, we will be having our the Buddha's birthday, right? Buddha's birthday, Buddha bathing ceremony in May. We will be singing songs together as well. Imagine, whole bunch of people get together on this very special day and then sing the praises of the Buddha. Well, back in the time, it's the same thing. The congregation get together. Before the Buddha said anything, they prepare themselves. They set their mindset, making sure that they're focused. All the offerings were there, the best that they can offer. All the people that were there wear proper attire, meaning they respect the proper dress. Basically tells them that I respect where I'm going to see, who I'm going to see, and where I'm going. And because they're coming to see the Buddha, that's what they're wearing, right? Very properly dressed. And then they sing the praises like we did when we sing all the different songs for the Buddha bathing ceremony. So this is what they sing. Supremely great and greatly awakened is the great Lord of Sages, with no defilement, no contamination, no attachment, right? So Master said, for all worldly and world transcending true principle, that means true teaching, there are none that he does not thoroughly understand. That means the Buddha understands all the meanings, teachings, all the truth, okay? Once again, the truth has always been there. Buddha did not invent the truth. He did not invent all these principles. It has always been there. Buddha came to the world to show us the truth because we were blinded by this. So he showed us this is the truth and guide us to learn it. Therefore, he is called greatly awakened. He's awakened because he realizes the truth is all around us. And he realized that we are not seeing it. Therefore, he comes to us and making sure that we see it too. So the all-knowing sage, right, realized the workings of all matter of life. But he also has the profound comprehension of all things in the universe. Therefore, he is the greatly awakened, not just like us. Sometimes we're awakened for a little bit. Buddha is greatly awakened. So this is the part of the praise that explains that the Buddha was a greatly awakened sage. Undefiled means the Buddha's mind has not the least bit of contamination. Therefore, his mind is reflected like a mirror. When an external image is reflected in the mirror, it will not contaminate it. That means all the things happening around the Buddha is truly reflecting. Nothing gets left over. You have something in front of a mirror, the mirror will show it. But you take this something away, the mirror no longer shows it. That means whatever things that came, the mirror will show truly what it is. When this thing goes away, nothing is left on the mirror. That's what a practitioner does. Whenever things arise around it, you truly reflect what happens. We don't add things onto it. We don't say, oh yeah, we hate that person. You tell me something about a person and I will reply, oh, we hate that person. And I want you to hate him too. No, the mirror doesn't do that. The mirror reflects back truly what it is. However, as soon as this person goes away, the mirror goes back to reflecting whatever that was there before. So it does not contaminate the mirror, right? Realize all principles. One must have minds like a mirror. Why mirror, right? Master talks about the wisdom of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas comes from their lack of contamination. The most important part about the mirror is that it will reflect what's happening around, but it will not be contaminated by all the things around. Let's suppose we take a mirror and we put a mirror against a pile of garbage. The mirror will show garbage, but the garbage does not contaminate the mirror. That's what it is. As a practitioner, we're able to see things where they are, for what they are, but they are not getting to us. You have a pile of gold. You take a mirror and you put it in front of the gold. You will see the gold in the mirror. The mirror really had the gold? No, it doesn't. It merely shows the gold. That's what as a practitioner is. And that's what Master here is talking about. The wisdom of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas comes from their lack of contamination. All the things around them, all the materials in the world have an opportunity and chance to contaminate us. Sometimes for the better, sometimes it's contaminate us because we want more of it. Sometimes it's the good things, like praises, that you're doing good. You know, we're doing charity and you like how it feels. You like how it feels and it stays on your mind. So it becomes stuck. And now I want to pursue it because I like how it feels to be praised. I like how it feels to be able to help others. And then people saying thank you. It got stuck. So what Master is saying that in the mirror itself will not keep the things that it reflects. In fact, when the things goes away, it's gone. Okay, that's what a practitioner, that's what wisdom is very important. Know when to pick it up and know when to let it go. So when our minds remain undefiled and are not tied up by afflictions, we will naturally develop wisdom. And that's very true. When our minds are so still, that nothing is left over, there's no contamination, right? You pick a mirror and you put it opposite side of garbage pile. It's got garbage inside the mirror, but as soon as you take the mirror away, the garbage is gone. When our mind is able to work like that, then we're able to develop wisdom. And because we have this wisdom, because we can see things clearly, because our minds are not affected by all the afflictions, we will be able to transform sentient beings. We will be able to become teachers of the Dharma. And that's where wisdom is trained. Supremely great and greatly awakened is the great Lord of Sages, with no defilement, no contamination, and no attachment. That was the sutra, right? So that was what no defilement, no contamination is all about, no attachment. He trains heavenly beings and men like a trainer of elephant and horses, right? So what does that mean? Not only for the Buddha himself to be uncontaminated, undefiled, and no attachment, but also you have to be a good teacher. So the reason why the Buddha is the great Lord of Sages, because he not only does this for himself, but he also does it for others. Being able to train heavenly beings, being able to just train others to have minds like a reflective mirror is one of the most hardest things, especially when we are so contaminated already. It is very difficult to be so reflective as a mirror. And that is why it was the great Lord of Sages, because the Buddha is the great teacher, is the great guiding teacher. It was able to train all sentient beings, just like the trainer of elephant and horses. And over here, and this is the part where we have this, time gaps, right? Because back in the days of India, the trainer of elephants and horses, you often have to break them in, right? Wild horses, wild elephants, they're not going to be able to listen to your orders. So you have the trainers to break them in. changing them from wild into domesticated. So trainer of elephants and horses are very often, very frequently happening in the all India. In fact, the all days, the all times. However, nowadays, we don't see that, right? So this is the part where we sort of understand what it means. What this means is that this trainer knows what the elephants and the horses want, knows their problem, and knows how to get them to do what he wants. And that's what the trainer does. This is what the great Lord of Sages does. He knows the capacities of the sentient beings. He knows their problems, their afflictions, their issues. Therefore, the great Lord of Sages is able to use and apply the proper ways so that he can get all the sentient beings to work a certain way, to learn a certain way. And that's what we're talking about, a great guiding teacher. So the great Lord of Sages can do this because he had already become a great teacher, not only for himself, but also for others. His cultivation and virtues are like wind or fragrance that permeates everything. So we're going to finish here. And we now know that the Buddha was a great trainer, but not only that, he trains not with the power or the terror, right? You are afraid of being whipped. That's why you learn. No, but instead, he trains you with his virtues and his cultivation. So this particular part is very important, right? Pure fragrance. This aura is actually permeated by your virtue. It's just like master. We want to do something for master because we like being close to master, not because we are afraid that if we don't do something, we're going to be scolded. And that's going to be difference. You are a teacher of love. People learn from you, not because they fear you. People learn from you because they love you, because they admire you, because they adore you. And that's something that's important because the aura, the fragrance of virtue is such that the audience, the students, are willing and wanting to come close to you. They open themselves up to learn from you. And that's very important. That's another reason why the Buddha is the great Lord of Sages. Not only does he work to make sure that he is not defiled, he is not contaminated, but he also works to make sure other people can learn to be like him. How does he do that? There are these characters that allow the Buddha to be able to immerse the surroundings so that people can feel that they really want to learn something from the Buddha. So Master talks about, right? It's like when we pick up something that has a fragrance. After holding it for a long time, our hand will also have that smell too. And this is what is important. The longer that we spend time with the Buddha, the longer that the virtues of the aura will be surrounding us as well. That's why people like to be around Buddha. That's why people like to be learning from the Buddha, because this is what they want to know. That's what they want to have too. So all these things constitute the great Lord of Sages. This is the part of the praise that the Sangha and the audience is singing the praises for the Buddha, that he's a greatly awakened Lord, that he does this undefiled, uncontaminated, and that he does this like a reflective mirror. And not only that, but he has this virtue that goes around, that people like to come close and people like to learn. People open up their hearts to the Buddha because they want to be with him. They want to be like him. They want to be like all those aura of virtue. They want to be like that too. People want to get close to him. And that's why it's important. In order to teach the sentient beings, in order to pass on the knowledge, the teacher must have these capabilities. So previous sections, we talked about how to be a good teacher from a student. Now it's telling you, what does our teacher have? The special abilities that our teachers have. Knowing that, we would know what to work for. We as students would know that we need to work on our virtues so that people like to be with us. And that's important. So that's my sharing for today. And I hope that we have a specific insight into all these teachings. It's a lot of words, right? All these celestial things, right? All of that is just telling you that we are serious about learning. We put the best offerings, we put on the best dress, we put our minds and we're focused on it. That's the best thing we can offer. And why is that? Because we're now coming close to the Buddha, who has this aura of virtue. We like to be around him. We like to learn from him. And all these things constitute a very good learning environment that we can have for both the teacher and the student. And that's when the Buddha can pass on the Dharma for all generation after generation. Thank you, and we will continue this next week. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much, Brother Joe, for the great insight, reminding us of a great teacher. And the part I like about that is the great Lord Buddha tamed elephants and horses, and we are the ones with very wild minds around. And the point, Brother Joe, about to dress properly. So that leads us to the next topic. But before that, maybe since Brother Joe is here, maybe you can take a photo. If everybody can turn on the video, let's take a photo with Brother Joe. All right. So let's bring our official photographer, Sister Effie. All right, great. Excellent. Again, so much, Brother Joe. And that talking about being well dressed, next one we have Sister Su Ching, who doesn't need any introduction. She's going to share with us who needs a cape. I've got a Su Ching uniform. So we have a heroine without a cape here. All right, there you go, Sister Su Ching.
Okay. So I just got back from Nepal, and actually a big part of the sharing will be about Nepal and the insights that I got from when I was in Nepal. Okay. So who needs a cape? I have a Tzu Chi uniform, but then when I wrote this, I realized is who needs a cape? We have a Tzu Chi uniform. So I'd just like to recap. Brother Joe and I got back from Lumbini on Monday. Was it on Monday? Last week on Saturday, sorry. So this is, our flight was delayed on the way to the airport. A few things that were a little hiccup along the way. Then we met with Brother Ko and Sister Tripping, new faces. We had to repack some stuff because Brother Ko is a chef and he brought quite a lot of food. The airline weighed the carry-ons, but surprisingly, none of us were selected. Two ladies on my row were talking throughout the whole flight, so I couldn't even sleep. But they gave me a veggie pizza, so that was great. And we finally reached Lumbini after 30 hours of traveling. So that's us in a row. This is us when we first landed in Kathmandu. So when I saw these pictures, I realized that it's like Avengers Assemble. But in this case, there's nothing to avenge. We were there because of some events that were going on, which are a little I will later share. But on the ground activity, before we started it, there was an educational material distribution in Ram Janaki Basic School. And when we went down on the ground and met the students, the bags all came and we lined them up. We were not really, I guess, I actually had a meeting that morning and it ended early, so I was able to make it for this particular distribution, and I got into the van without thinking very much. But when we arrived on the scene, there was just, I think to see volunteers are just so great because we kind of know what to do. I think it's from the years of being trained even before we wear our uniform, that when we get into a location, we just instinctively know where we belong. Where should we be in order to get things working? So here we are lining up the bags in order to start the ceremony of distributing the bags to the students. The students come from years 1 to 7, and this was a way to get them to come to school on a longer term basis, because this is a village school, and a lot of the students there are very poor. So while the students were all lined up, as you can see in the mat up in the front, their parents and some teachers are at the back. But some younger kids, if the parents do come, the younger children will follow, and they were put into a room. And in a while, I'll show the picture to you, how it was looking like. But anyway, so this was the scene that we had, and I was actually quite moved by this event, because I thought we were there to just assist, but there was a time when, because there are so many students, the Tzu Chi volunteers were asked to line up and present the bags to the students. So I had a lot of opportunity to look at the students' eyes and be able to be the one that passes the bags to them. It might seem very basic to us, but to them it is something that they have never had. Okay, so Brother Joe and I were there for a teachers in-house training. So we've started the Tzu Chi Teachers Association in Lumbini, and getting them on board also requires them to be trained like us on do's and don'ts, and some of the things that would make them better equipped as teachers in the future. So I was tasked to talk about environmental protection, in particular about being vegetarian and vegetarianism, the reasons for it, and why we do it. So I was given 3 days. So Brother Joe and I, we were talking about how we can make this interactive and lively. So we spoke about the environmental protection from the point of view of the earth, from the point of view of animals, and also our health. And Brother Joe spoke about the art of presentation for the next 3 days. So it was actually quite long. So this is how a typical class went. We simulated the experience of global warming by getting them to wear raincoats. And it was not all about environmental protection the whole day. Sister Sarah also came and talked about how to teach English and mathematics in a fun way. And I thought that I was there to present, but really sitting and observing and learning. Some days I also have to write the daily report, so that required me to be more attentive, to know what's going on, so that I can put it into a report form. So really being there, I learned so much. This is typically every day we will take a picture. Some days we have a full class, some days we don't. It was also the school holidays at that time, so a lot of the teachers could attend. In between, the class was only for 6 days out of a whole week. So we had 1 day off, and it was the Su Ching Day. And I also had the great pleasure to conduct a class about money and about compounding. So I wove it to earning money as well as earning merits as we go along. In the process of also teaching, I also realized that the interaction and the connection with students is so much more important. It is not so much the content, but the heart that goes together with it. So over here, you can see 2 students or 2 kids at the side. They are about 11 years old. They were playing in the building next to ours. And since a lot of students came in, the boys wanted to join. So they were brought in. They brought a lot of energy and excitement to the class. So here is a a little bit of what I learned when I was there. The content is good, but every class needs to be energized. The level of energy needs to be picked up. And there is nobody better to do that than Xing Tian. Xing Tian is such a wonderful person. Anybody who has her on their team would find her to be such an asset. And this is the way the energy was in the class. Listen to it. Okay. So as you can see, we really have the fun level was really at its highest peak. As you can see at the back over here, it says in-house training. Sometimes our uniforms change a little bit, but generally the content of the classes, we start at about 10 o'clock and we go on until about 3:30. So it's intense and we break up for about an hour's lunch, but it's intense and it's a lot of fun. One of the classes also involved the Singaporean volunteers to come and teach about how to plan for outdoor activities, because we will be facing a lot of students in the future. So the teachers planned for an outdoor activity to Tara Foundation, which is about a 45-minute walk, I think slightly under 4 kilometers, I think, from our location. So we were the students and there was an outdoor activity. So this was the day when we set off in the morning. It might seem like, whoa, this is great and all that, but what was not conducive was the weather. In Lumbini, unlike in Kathmandu, the temperature was around 22 to maybe about 27 degrees in the afternoon, because it's approaching summer, but it's not quite summer yet. But in Lumbini, it can be very scorching. In the morning, it's about 17 degrees, but by the mid-afternoon, it could go as high as 39 to 42 degrees Celsius. So really boiling. But this is before we set off in the morning, so it was still fairly pleasant. We walked all the way to Tara Foundation, and after that we broke out to have a feel of how to organize games and energizers with students. So we broke the Teachers Association and all the teachers into 3 groups, and they organized games and we played along. So it was really pure fun. This is Tara Foundation, such a lovely place. I normally hang around because the whole program for us was a lot of classroom teachings. So this was really welcomed. But as you can see, it's hot. And then we ended up back at Aloka where we stayed, and the kitchen was a buzz because when you take kids out, you also have to plan for food. So that was also part of the practice. As you can see, Xing Tian was working with the seaweed. We also, the Singaporean team, especially, they introduced different types of food to the teachers as well. That is nutritious and totally plant-based. This, I think, was the last class that we had for the art of presentation, and just wrapping things out on whatever they learned. So this was a picture where it was a freestyle. Not only do we do our own internal training, we also had an opportunity to present or to present to the teachers of an international, a private school. It's not an international school, but it's a private school in Lumbini. It's called Lumbini World School. There were 60 over teachers. This one was held in their cafeteria. In the front, you could see the 2 principals. You can see that the energy is really high. And that's what superheroes do. They keep the energy high. I had such a pleasure to observe Principal Sarah in action, not only to our own teachers, but also to the teachers of the Lumbini World School. Here she is, she was talking about ways to teach and also introducing the Water Baby project to the school. Surprisingly, we have a slight language barrier. It's not very profound in the private schools, but in the more rural schools, then we definitely need a translation. So when the class finished and I thought everything was done and we were packing up, so I went to the washroom, I was stopped by a lot of the teachers getting out because they were telling me that they are so excited that this is such a good program. They're wondering when can they begin. As you can see over here, I am behind the computer and I'm being the MC for the day. So when we are in any situation in Lumbini, for instance, I think the ability of any one of us to jump into any role is so great, because sometimes, we have to change our program, and we are like the ability again to shift at any moment and take on any role. That is very, very strong superhero quality. Okay, so this is us at the Lumbini World School as we were departing for the day. Brother Joe did an incredibly good job by also presenting to them the art of presentation, mainly for us to realize what kind of person we are, either a visual, an audio, or a kinesthetic person. So if we know what kind of person the audience is, then we will be able to present a better presentation to them, and the content will be better absorbed. Yeah. So the teachers were, when they were giving their feedback, they were very happy that there was something like this to at least raise their awareness that we are all not the same. Okay, so that's a little bit of what we did in Nepal. Now I just like to share the faces of Nepal. This is my second time in Lumbini, and the faces that I've seen, I guess I must say the first time I was there was a lot of judgment on how Nepal should be, because I went there 10 years ago. So when I went last year, I expected a lot of change, but when there wasn't any, I was actually quite disappointed initially. I had to learn to be more accepting. I know it sounds strange, but I had to learn it. But this time around, I think the expectation wasn't there. So everything that came by my way was really a very pleasant experience. So when we were in Ram Janaki school and the kids were running around, so there was this little girl who passed by me, and her eyes just captured me. They are such beautiful eyes. So I asked whether I could take a picture of her, and she said yes. And on the right, just now I was telling you when the kids are on the mat waiting to receive their bags, their brothers and sisters, their siblings were ushered into a small room. And when I looked into the room, there was this boy, and he was eating a snack, and his eyes again, just looking at me, and I'm just thinking, what else can we do for them? One of the things that crossed my mind was we actually have a lot of clothes in our recycling centers, and I was wondering whether we could start something by taking children's clothes. Maybe every volunteer goes with a bag, and maybe we can start a little place where we could have clothes where they can actually come and have a fresher or newer clothes for the kids to be able to wear. Something that I have in mind. The other thing I had in mind was also following what I've heard of what's happening in Mozambique. We can actually have more vegetable gardens in Lumbini. That is, I think, something that is possible. But right now it's just in my mind. Okay, another phase of Lumbini. We as a group, Singtian, myself, and Joe, we go to this place called Sat Sahib that was introduced to us by Sister Stephanie when we were last there. And the shop actually serves incredible lassi and momos. So when we told the shop owner that we were there last year in September and showed her the picture, the husband and wife really wanted the picture, and then we put it side by side. Maybe this is the start of a yearly thing, I don't know, but they were so delighted that they really wanted that photo as well. So on the right, you will see this man called Kailash. Kailash was our teacher, and he left because he got a job with the government school. But you can tell that the experience was very good because on his left, he brought his current principal over so that the principal can get to know Tzu Chi and maybe take on the Tzu Chi syllabus as part of their offerings to the students. I didn't see this the previous time, but this time around, I actually walked down to the sewing room and I saw the students in action. They sew all sorts of things. They learn how to sew buttonholes, and also using the machine to sew all sorts of things that could be sold. So on the left, I actually got a few pouches, and as I was waiting sometimes for my turn, sometimes we'll go early. It's 2 hours, 15 minutes difference. So about 4:30, the natural alarm clock will already ring. Most of the time I'll be up by about 5 or 6. So there's the days are long. So I went over to the sewing room and I realized that my hat, which is a big asset when I was there, has no initial. And there were some days where on top of being hot, it was windy and my hat almost flew from my head a few times. So I thought if it flies, they won't know whose hat it is. So I sewed my initials on it. Water pumps are everywhere. That's a common thing in Lumbini. They don't. Some places don't have piped in water, so the kids and the adults have to pump water from water pumps. Okay, so these are the landscapes of Lumbini. It might seem it seems idyllic. It looks from a distance and actually even just in pictures that it is actually heaven. But heaven on earth is how we make of it, right? On the left is just a picture. We were leaving for the day from the headquarters back to Aloka, and the monkeys came. And since it was sunset, I thought it was so beautiful. On the right, it was a picture that was shared in our chat group. On the left, they were selling pani puri. I was so tempted to eat this. This was in a pasar malam, a night market, but I was told, please do not. So I didn't, but it really looks so good. So many people were lining up to buy. And on the right is a picture of Montessori of a different kind. This is a picture of the night market. I think Lumbini or Nepal generally, and Lumbini specifically, the vegetables when you go around, they are smaller. It's not as plump as the ones that we are so used to. So I think these are the ones that are truly organic. They don't use the synthetic kind of fertilizers to enhance the sizes of their produce. Here, Brother Joe is looking at the weighing scale and checking whether it is calibrated. This is a typical view from Aloka down into the road. This was at night, as you can see. After 7, the roads are very quiet. Generally, there aren't many traffic also. I think the spread of Lumbini is fairly big. So the traffic along the main road, although it leads to the Lumbini park where Buddha was born, is not that heavy. Hopefully in time this will change, but at the moment, this seems, well, last year and this year, nothing has changed very much. It is still very quiet. And this is a view that I have never seen, and I took this picture because it was the Singaporean volunteers that called me and said, "Oh, look at this. This is unusual. Do you know what they're doing? The sheep are actually sleeping, and the shepherd is at the side. They're cuddled together under the shade because it's again very hot there, but they were taking an afternoon nap." We also get visitors from the Lumbini Park. There are lots of monkeys. This is a bakery that I often see on the way to Sat Sahib, where I take my daily lassi. And that's the road leading towards Sat Sahib. The roads are typically like this in Lumbini. They are very dusty, very rocky. Things are changing, but they are still slow. But there is beauty to behold at any point in time if we would just open our eyes to see. This was the last day, and on the right is the preparation of momo. And now I know why the momo is so good, because the owner actually puts paneer inside. The dogs in Lumbini is particularly beautiful. They have very sharp features. And it was the season of wheat. So you will see as we pass through the countryside going towards other schools and such, the countryside has this look. Just as far as the eye can see, stretches of wheat waiting to be harvested. Machinery is not used in abundance, so the harvesting actually is done by hand. So we have some of the teachers come late, and when we ask, "Why are you not early?" Oh, it's because I was harvesting the wheat in the morning. So it just puts perspective for myself that I really don't know how it is like. Can you imagine that you have to harvest by hand? I'm sure it's not easy. As we were doing the charity day, we were passing the guy who sat next to me. He's also a teacher, and he says, "This is a school." But as we go into the villages, people are calling us. Even as we are walking along the streets, we hear "Shubo, Shubu." So Tzu Chi has done sufficiently enough. It has been almost 3 years, I think. And people know us by our uniforms. Oh, this is a tree which I found very, very inspirational, because it refuses to die, even though the surrounding looks bleak. It's still alive. Oh, I have to talk about food before I get into the main issue at hand. We were so lucky. One of the person who followed us to Lumbini this time around was Brother Ko, Sister Sarah's home brother, and he's a cook. So this is some of the sampling of the food that we were so lucky to get. Momo's out from him, neither is the paneer, but on the right you can see it is really, really good stuff. When we were there, Hari Raya fell on one of the days, and he treated us with nasi lemak and egg rendang. Very, very good stuff. Coffee is fantastic. Because mainly Lumbini, like in India, they use a lot of fresh milk. And Brother Ko also likes chili padi. So this time around, I had a lot of chili padi with my food. On the left is bak kut teh, and I love my soups. We have porridge in the morning mainly, and it is pimped with so many good stuff. Well, can you even see we have noodles with yin yang sauce and a lot of ABC soups. On the left is Sat Sahib with chow mein and puri. This was our meal in the Lumbini World School. We had pakora, half-boiled eggs for breakfast. Just incredibly mouth-watering good stuff. I didn't miss Malaysian food at all, except for char kway teow. All right, and this is, of course, the crown of it all. This is a cup of lassi. So beautiful. I have this every single day, I'm happy to say. Also, the friendships that I've made in this time around were surprising and yet not surprising, I suppose. To see we are one family, but I've never really seen myself as friends with the more senior Tzu members. Brother Ko is a cook. He looks so serious initially, but what a wonderful person that he is. He really shows he cares for us every single day by cooking the most delicious meals. And on top of it, most of the time when we are out, he's there taking pictures as part of the 3-in-1 group as well. Principal Sarah, I was really touched by how wise she is, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity when I'm in Lumbini to experience her and her warmth and the way that she taught. My roommate this time around was Sister Ching, and she, as the head of the education in Malaysia and now in Nepal, she sleeps before me, she wakes up before me, and yet her energy level is really top notch. I have never seen her wane in the things that she needs to do. And she's always so willing to learn every new thing. Okay, I have Sister Billing from Penang, and the doctor is Dr. Bijaya. She's from Kathmandu and she's new. This is the Tuti clinic, which is just at the bottom of the headquarters. So I told you just now that some of the days we take turns to write the daily report. And I usually like to do my things as fast as possible. So even when the class was wrapping up, I've already finished it, and I was able to send my report to Sister Ching together with the translation into Mandarin. And she asked me one night, how do I do it? How can it be so fast? And it's quite accurate. So I said I use a combination of while the thing is going on, as the class is going on, I get the key points and I narrate it to my phone. And she has never experienced that before. So I show her the narration function. And I also show her how I transport that into ChatGPT for the framework of the report writing to be there. And she says, whoa, this is good stuff. Can you teach it to us? And she says, teach it to us LKK people. LKK means Lao Kok Kok. And I thought that was so hilarious. So one day, as you can see, the time behind is 7:30. She called for whoever wants to learn to come into the dining room, and I was teaching them what are the things that I do. I didn't realize that the class was so fun. At the end of the day, it was, I think everyone learned something. I also learned something from being a part of this particular class. We talk about giving, but actually the getting back is even more tremendous. So the day before we left, Sintian got us all into Satsaheb, and we yam sing with lassi. Brother Ko bought us chips and even cakes. This is so fantastic. Before we left, we took a picture, and then we were off. The taxi was just outside the Aloka Hotel at that time. So here is the topic at hand. Most superheroes wear capes, right? And superheroes actually have all this ability. But as I was looking into the superpower abilities that most superheroes have, but to see volunteers generally, individually, and again as a group, we have this ability, we have this power, we have the healing touch. We can do duplication actually because there's so many of us. To the outside, we all look the same, and that is a good thing because we are representatives of a bigger thing. We we can do lie detection. We can do mind reading, that's for sure. The ability to touch a hand and be able to feel, that is mind reading. Persuasion, power negotiation, super hearing, super speed, super strength, teleportation. Those are the things that I think that a typical Tzu Chi volunteer has. And it is not with nothing. Actually, all this training and the due diligence events that we go to really helps shape us. So I was looking at also the values of a typical superhero, to have empathy, to work in a team, have high energy, have growth, have creativity, equality, all the way down to being authentic and being committed. Does that not describe a Tzu Chi volunteer? On the last day, we were so thankful. Our flight got delayed, so we didn't have to leave Lumbini so early, and therefore we could be a part of the charity distribution for the day. As the person who is there in the front, his name is Tulsi, and when I got there, I was really, really surprised that he spoke Penang Hokkien as good as a Penangite. He was working in Penang for 7 years, and oh, what a treasured find. He exemplifies how a local volunteer can be, and I'm so glad that the local volunteer group is growing in size and in strength. I was really choked up when I brought the box. Because of the earthquake in Myanmar, after the distribution, we tell our care recipient that something has happened in Myanmar and people are suffering. And so this family, this lady has lost her husband and she has 3 sons. She has really nothing to her name, no money, no nothing. So when she heard of it, she actually wanted to borrow money to give, but we told her don't need to borrow. All she has to do is just to give her prayers. So when she and her son lay their hands on the box, I choked up. So how do they survive? They actually survive by, you saw the wheat fields, when they are being harvested, there are some wheat that falls off. They pick it up and they will grind and make their own flour. That's how they survive. Really, really, this is heartbreaking to say the least. She doesn't have a permanent home. She just lives under a tent. This lady has just given birth. Her baby is less than a month. And her sister just looks adoringly at the baby, was so happy to show us the baby. This is another lady who is widowed, and she also offered her prayers. I thought that my hands were thin, but I've never really seen just skin and bones. So more than a superhero, Tzu Chi volunteers, just by being in our uniform, we can be in multiple places. When we heard what happened in Putra Heights, and then very soon the videos came, and I saw Sister Ivy, who is Brother Joe's home sister, in the video and explaining about what we are doing in the mosque over there. I realized that to see as a group, we can be in multiple places at the same time, and isn't that a superhero ability? We also can go anywhere without fear. Under normal circumstances, none of us will walk into a rural kampong to do anything. But when we were doing charity distribution, the thought of safety actually never even crossed my mind. I know that it is there for as long as I'm wearing a Tzu Chi uniform, and that is a superhero quality. And there's recognition everywhere. Just shuku everywhere we go. Again, superhero. So this is the future to look forward to. We have already identified the land, and the school is going to be built soon. I'm really, really touched by the opportunity. I was so happy. I thought nobody captured that moment, but when the video came, I was featured, or we were all featured in the TV station. Actually came for the bag distribution. So we were in a video that was on YouTube. This is the happiest time of our day at 3:30, 4:30, or 5:30, depending on what time our class finished. Xingtian, Joe, and I will be at Sasaheb for sure. This is obviously that's where we will be. And Studio Ghibli and ChatGPT art really lighten the mood. And these are some of the pictures that I've created. So just sharing, this one I took from our previous trip with Stephanie. And this is the Pixar art that came out of it. So lovely, so beautiful, and really captures the innocence and essence of it all. So in conclusion, every activity in Tzu Chi is an adventure of a lifetime. And from this, I also learned that the more I get more than I give. Really, truly, I thought I was there to give something, but coming back from the event, spirits were lifted, and the energy and commitment and really the vision that I see is totally renewed. And I also realized that we are stronger together. The common vision and the purpose is very critical. Stronger together means sometimes we're put on the spot of things that I didn't think that I was going to do, like we were supposed to present something to Su Ching, and that was just really last minute. But it was just sitting down and talking to Joe. What do you think we can do? And Joe had some ideas. So just bouncing off each other, we can really do a lot more. So I really see Tzu Chi as a collection of individual strength, and as a collection of individual strength, we become really a force to be reckoned with. To those who have not yet gone abroad, especially to Buddha land, you really should be here. I cannot sing enough praises of the experience that I've gotten, and I really look forward to everyone having the opportunity to also share with this experience. And that's it from me. It is exactly 7:40 right now, and over to you, Brother Chin.
Okay, thanks so much, this is Su Ching, for sharing your great affinity with the Buddha land and the heroic efforts you and the team has shown and done for the people there. Great sharing. Thank you so much. But I'm sure, Sister Su Ching, you will be returning back to Lumbini to continue the great heroic efforts. All right, so we now move on. We don't have time, unfortunately, for questions, but let's move on to our next sharer. Dr. Charles Johnson is going to be sharing with us Surviving and Thriving. That's about sharing and plant-based traveling, and Dr. Charles Johnson from Su Ching, Singapore. So we moved from Taiwan, moved down to south to Malaysia, and we're going to Singapore now. Dr. Charles Johnson, please, platform is yours.
Hello, good morning. I'm Charles Johnson. I'm here in Singapore. And yeah, Sister Tay, thank you a lot for that sharing. Touched my heart. And okay, let me just start by sharing my slides. Let me just get it to work first. Okay, hold on, it's asking me to quit and come back in. Hold on, let me get it right. Okay, share. Can you see my slides?
Yes, your slides
clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hi, yes, good morning. So I'm Charles Johnson. I'm an emergency physician. I do flight medicine also, and I'm also a certified lifestyle medicine and plant-based nutrition physician. And I also love to travel, and my work brings me traveling a lot around the world. So I wanted to share today how we can travel, see the world, remain, true to plant-based or vegan or vegetarian eating, which is the compassionate way to travel and have, and still have a really fulfilling and fun experience. So over the past few years, as you can see, I just put on this world map some of the places I've been to, either for work, for volunteer work, for medical, for actual occupational work, or just to travel. But it spans most of the continents, and it goes to many countries. And throughout these places, all I go to, I managed to remain fully still plant-based and enjoying the experience. So I travel, like I said, plant-based traveling can be for work, it can be for leisure. Once you know how to do it, it's actually very easy. It's a lot of fun, and all it requires is some homework. Okay. So why do I choose to continue to be plant-based when I travel? Why don't a lot of my friends will say, I just, for a while, a few days, just give in or what? I think number one for me is the principle of ahimsa, to have respect for all sentient beings. And it doesn't matter where I am in the world. I think this still applies. I also want to minimize my carbon footprint. And as we know, the number one way any human can minimize the carbon footprint is to go as much plant-based as possible. It's actually decreases your carbon footprint even more than buying an electric car or not using the air conditioner, which I also try to do all of that too, but it's really that. Number three is that I think to be compassionate means also to be compassionate to your own body, and that means to remain healthy. And when you travel, you really do want to remain healthy, because when you're healthy and you travel, you have less risk of turning ill when you're traveling. When you eat healthy plant-based food, you have optimized immunity. You have less chance of getting tummy troubles. In fact, in the past 6 years of my plant-based traveling, I've not had a single day, and I've traveled to 40, 50 countries. Many of them are developing countries, and I go out and I explore the food. And I've not had a single day of any tummy troubles. Also plant-based eating gives you more energy, you sleep better, traveling through time zones doesn't affect me so much. I wake up early morning, I feel refreshed, and I'm looking forward to the day. Next, it adds to the challenge. When you have to plan a bit extra for a trip, it gives you a greater challenge. Now it's not just stay in any hotel, but is this hotel sustainable? Is it plant-based? Are there plant-based eateries nearby? So it makes the whole thing a greater challenge and in a certain way more fun. You end up walking more to further places and you meet more people. So it's great. I will continue doing it. It's filled with these wonderful experiences of which I can share some. And if you have questions later, I'd be happy to also try to answer your questions. And doing this, like I say, I hope I've made as many other sentient beings, so farm animals and all, happier. So before you travel, you've got to do, I believe, is you do some homework. So when I say homework, I mean, I want to ask myself, for example, my particular destination, how vegan friendly is it? There are certain countries like maybe India where the majority of the population is vegetarian, but a lot of people take milk. So how, things like this. Certain countries, it's very hard to find vegan food, or plant-based food. Then little about the language and how to ask to modify food to make it plant-based. When I'm searching for accommodation, I always try to look for places which practice sustainable practices. And if I can find a hotel or homestay that's vegan, yay, I'm even happier. I try to. If you're going to travel, one of the things of planning is that if you're going to a place that you feel is not so vegan friendly in terms of the eateries, or if you're going to stay for a longer period of time, then I try to look for a place like an Airbnb apartment with like kitchen facilities. Because no matter where you go, and you go to a local market or supermarket, you will find fresh fruits and vegetables. You will never starve. There's no place where you go where you don't find it. So there may not be vegetarian restaurants, but there will be a supermarket filled with fresh produce. So when you have kitchen facilities, it is very easy to cook up a grand meal in the comfort of your own room, or comfort of your own apartment. And like I say, access to the food and local transport. If you stay, I search for a place, I stay somewhere where I have access to public transport and food, so I can take walks in the neighborhood, and I can, utilize public transport to go places. I look out for food outlets, and I mark on my phone or on my Google Maps or so I can have. So it's exciting to search these places out. And like I said, I love to also mark out the local markets, the small farmers markets or big supermarkets or what, because there are so many new fruits and vegetables that our own country don't have, or not exposed to, and we go there and we learn about it, and we see it, and it's so colorful and it's so much fun. So some resources I make use of, the internet is wonderful. I'm sure there are other resources other than what I'm sharing here, but this is what I would use. I use Google Maps, and I'll just search, vegetarian or vegan when I'm at that location. I use, apps like Veg-A-Billion, Happy Cow. AI is really good, I can put there, I'm vegan, I'm traveling to this particular city. I'm looking for, local food. Are there some vegan options? And I have this conversation, either and recently DeepSeek has been really good. In fact, it's really fun seeing what how they interpret and what the information they share with me. Facebook and Instagram of other vegan travelers, blogs, YouTube channels. All of these have a lot of sources nowadays. Globally, there's this growing number of vegan travelers, and they are always very happy to share their discoveries. I also have downloaded the app Google Translate, and sometimes you don't have data, so I screenshot in the language of the country I'm going to. For example, words or phrases like I am vegan, I'd like to have food with no milk, no meat, no egg, and of course, thank you very much in whatever language there is. And then, people are more than willing, if you say this with a smile, you show the language, you point at the restaurant, I want this, and not this. They usually in the end understand, and sometimes they're very amused by it because they've not come across such a traveler before. And it always works out well. You make a new friend, you teach them a new way of eating. It's great. Yeah. So sustainable travel is also Mother Earth friendly. It is to lower your carbon footprint. So I like to squeeze into smaller seats. So when you put more people in a plane and you share that carbon footprint of that airplane with more people, so when I get into an aircraft, when I get into a flight, and the seats are very tight and they squeeze a lot of people and the flight is full, instead of me grumbling, it's how you look at things. So instead of me grumbling and say, wow, this flight is full and there's no space to rest and it's so crowded, I'm thinking, wow, so many people are sharing this plane. So per kilometer travel, my CO2, my carbon footprint has significantly decreased, and I'm thankful for it. If you're traveling, you can always pre-order your vegetarian or vegan meals. Almost all airlines that provide food, or even those that you buy food, now have a plant-based option, and I'm very happy and this is growing. These foods are called VGML or VOML. Then up there's a picture of a typical VGML meal where there's no egg, no dairy, no meat, and they are and once again it's great because the food, then your next door, the person sit next to you, say, why your food is different, and you explain to them, and you get to share it with another person. Yeah. I also travel lightly. I don't carry too much because I say if you carry too much, you increase your carbon footprint. And in the hotel where I stay, I try to use what I need. So if I'm traveling for work and I'm alone, and they give me 2 sets of towel, then I will return 1 set of towel to the housekeeping before I use it, so that they don't have to use so much water to wash a towel that I will never use. So part of my packing list, so I travel light and have used clothes that are nice and quick to dry. So I have this something like a 3-set rule. So 1 set I wear, 1 set I stand by to use next, and 1 set maybe I'm washing it, so I can travel for a prolonged period of time with my 3 sets of clothes. Then I make sure with all my, my shoes, my bags and everything, or wallets, I don't want to use leather products or any other animal products. I like coffee, I like tea, so often go places you drink. So other than India, where they use the disposable clay cups, which are very environmentally friendly, I will bring my own silicone, cup, so that I try my best not to utilize paper cups, not to contribute to waste in other countries, like in my, an interesting thing, this picture is the one on the side I show, is I bring a water purifier, a water filter, which is a manual pump, where then I can take potentially undrinkable tap water. I don't have to boil it, and I can pump it through this filter system, and I can refill my water bottle. And I don't have to buy bottled plastic water from plastic bottles. And this, it weighs about less than about 500 grams. And it's really, I found it really very useful when I travel, especially to places where the tap water is not drinkable. This removes, it removes viruses, bacteria. It's completely manual. You don't need power for it. It's a very useful tool, I think. I bring my own water bottle. If I'm going to a place, often I bring a lightweight silicone bowl, so I can, go to the market and make buy vegetables, and we buy fruits, and we can come back and we can wash them, and we can have, plant-based snacks or meals in our own room. And then other luxuries sometimes I bring, depends on the country. I love chili. I love spicy food, so sometimes I bring my own chili powder or my own vegan sambal. Or a place where there's not much coffee, I even bring my own hand coffee maker, so I don't have to use like 3-in-1 coffee, or I don't have to use drip coffee, which is a lot of paper and plastic waste involved. So I try to minimize all of that. So how do I make memories when I travel after all this planning? So in addition to the standard places you can visit, you have these other wonderful places. Like say when you visit local markets, when you start to look for plant-based food, then you're very interested when you go there. You see all the different types of new fruits and vegetables that you've never seen before. So it's really fun. Whereas if you are looking for meat, then a chicken is, sadly, a dead chicken is a dead chicken in whether it's in the supermarket in the US or supermarket in India, it's the same. But the fruits and vegetables are so different. I like to visit sustainable farms. I'll search them out. I like to support these farms. I love to visit vegan eateries, or even vegetarian or vegan friendly places where I get to make friends. I meet the chef, meet the cook. I learn to meet people and ask them if they can modify dishes, the chef to modify dishes, and always make a friend that way. And I try support, and if that's a local vegan or vegetarian restaurant, that's a local startup, I always try to go there to support them, because I think they're on a path to compassion. Going traveling gives you a chance to learn about new foods and new preparation skills. So instead of buying a lot of like souvenirs back, you learn about how to prepare a vegetable or fruit in a different manner. And they always, people, when you show interest, someone is always willing to share with you and say, oh, this is how we cook our dal, or this is how we cook and that way, not just you make friends, but you really learn a new skill. And I say, whenever I get a chance and when I travel, I always try to share this concept of compassionate eating to anyone who's willing to listen. I don't have to make you, vegetarian or plant-based because of that one meeting, but I've planted that small seed in your heart that there is something you can actually do that's compassionate to yourself, makes you healthier, compassionate to planet Earth, and compassionate to all the other animals on Earth. And then, okay, because I'm a doctor, I also want to share with you how to eat healthy even when you travel. So if you're eating healthy at home, when you travel, you also must eat healthy. So always try to have, over the days that you're traveling, these 4 main food groups available to you, which are fruits, the starches and grains, the legumes, which are the beans and all, the beans and lentils and soya beans, etc., and the green vegetables. Okay, so always try to look for these groups, whether you're ordering food or you're preparing it yourself, because this optimizes your health. And when you're traveling, like I said, the key is that you want to remain healthy and fit and not wake up in the morning feeling tired or unwell or succumb to an illness. So you want to always maintain these 4 main food groups. So remember the tips, which are the same whether you're at home or whether you're traveling, which is number 1, eat real food, not ultra-processed food. Number 2, water and fiber are your best friends. Keep yourself well hydrated and eat food with a lot of fiber, because that feeds your microbiome. And if you've got good gut health, you got good health. Keep your food colorful, eat the rainbow. Keep taking as much variety. I always share with people, try to take 30 different types of fruit and vegetable every week, or if more, even better. And when you're traveling, that same rule still applies. Count your nutrients. Don't need to count calories. Calories is not important, but the type of nutrients you take is important. And even when you're traveling, eat like your life depends on it, because actually your life does depend on it. And remember, whole food is nutrient dense and calorie light, so you won't gain weight if you travel and eat this way. So some things I say, when I travel, I really want to avoid plastic, not just from a perspective of a sustainability perspective, but I don't want microplastics to be deposited in my body. So I bring my own water bottle. I don't take, I don't travel, I don't take ultra-processed food or drinks like this. If I had a choice between what I could buy in a supermarket, I would get a real banana and not a granola bar. That means ultra-processed food versus real food. So I go to a market and get real food. And all of this, is whether I'm traveling or at home, is not something you want to take because you want to optimize your health. And all of this contributes, and this type of processed food contributes to plastic waste. And a lot of developing countries, when you have plastic and paper waste, it goes into landfills and they have no means of, and it contaminates the groundwater, and they have, or they burn it and it contaminates the environment, and there's really no way. So you want to eat food when you travel with minimal packaging, because the more packaging you have, the more there is a level of processing, the more you're paying an industry versus the farmer. And ultimately, it just becomes waste, which is going to be, which is a problem that ours or the next generation is going to have to deal with. So take real food that is nature's packaging, the skin of a sweet potato is its packaging and everything. And this is food that I prepare, that we prepare when we travel in our own hotel or apartment rooms. And you can even pack it in your bag. And as you walk and you take, this is your snack. So you don't have to buy plastic packaged snacks. And just to share with you some places I go to, so some places I go, like this place is called Port Alegre. I went there about a month ago for work. And I read, so I went doing my homework when I read, this is actually the meat capital of the world. There's more beef that is exported through here than any other city in the world. I say, my goodness. And they describe, and if you look at they describe of all the meat and beef restaurants that you have to go to. We say, oh, you have to. But I said, oops, this is what am I going to do? But through my searches, like I said, through AI, through Mr. Google and everything, I find a raw vegan restaurant there that is run by locals that are compassionate and feel that there is a better way to eat. And the food is wonderful. So everywhere I go, I said, just to share that even in the places where you think it's impossible, if you put your heart to it and you search, things will come together and you will find a place where you can eat. I also just came back from Nepal a few months ago. So I went for a 12-day trek up to 5,400 meters with my son as part, just something that we wanted to do together. And we faced this, and I'm very proud of it. And he put this in, if you look on the lower right-hand corner, and he put this in his Facebook. So throughout our 12 days of trekking, 15 to 20 kilometers a day, I'm not always 100%, you can find plant-based options. There's no vegetarian or vegan restaurants, but everything can be made completely plant-based. It's magical. And it really, like I said, it gave me the strength and the energy to remain completely fit. I'm like, when I went up there, even the guides and all, they were cheering because they say, wow, old man, make it to the top. So it is truly what I think is vegan power, And then, like what Sister Tay was sharing, actually after our trek, as the ways things were aligned, I had a message that said, could I go down and do a field survey for some free clinics in the province of Lumbini? So actually, I went down after we did our trek. I went down to Lumbini, and I actually went to the city Lumbini, and we had a short meeting. And I am so happy. I am really, really the work they do is so inspiring. And the group of us who went down, so we have decided to, because of this trip going down and all, so we went to a local school in a village called Kapil Vastu, which is about 2 hours drive from Lumbini. And in the few days we were there, we gave every child in the school a fruit, because the fruits there, like what Sister Tay was sharing, they don't really plant a lot of fruits. A lot of the food, like wheat and all, they plant is so that they can sell it to make money to buy food. So the fruit becomes nice to have, not a need to have. So we gave every child in the school a banana a day. So these are the happy kids because they get to eat the bananas. And what we hope to do after we left this place, what we hope to do is that we have decided to adopt this village school. And we have already started actually repainting the school, cleaning the toilets, teaching them about, we have local volunteers teaching them about recycling, not using plastic. We're actually going to go back in November and continue this project to uplift this school. And now I realize I'm very happy. I think they're really wonderful teachers from Su Ching that we can connect with. That I hope we can work together and help them. This is India. India has a population of vegetarians is higher than anywhere else in the world, so it's really easy in India. Other than I don't want the milk part of it, and I learned to eat sprouts in India. Small little sprouts. Normally we eat our tauge and long sprouts. In India they eat the sprout just as the tail comes out, and you eat this raw, and they sell it. And these local vendors, they stir it with their hand like they have with the pani puri and everything, and it tastes really wonderful. And I learned from this to go back and to plant my own sprouts. And now, me, my wife, my parents, we all do sprouting ourselves at home because we've learned something. We learned that you can grow your own sprouts. You can eat it. It tastes really good and it's really nutritious. So when you travel in Vietnam, also, wonderful, a lot of fruits and vegetables, different fruits and vegetables. And same, we search out and we make new friends. When you look for, vegetarian and vegan eateries, and you let them, and you share with them that we took the bus, or in this case in Vietnam, we took a bicycle and we cycled 5 kilometers to this place. And they're so happy to hear that we come all the way to eat, and we we help to support. I think it helps to support compassion and say there is, and that's really very important. And this is Cambodia. And say when you go to a local, so Cambodia doesn't have many vegetarian or vegan eateries, especially when we are doing volunteer work in rural areas. But if you go to the local market, it is filled with fruit and vegetables. So what we do is we go back and we ask the house we are staying with to help cook, or we can bring to a restaurant, say, can you help cook this? And part of the volunteer work we do in Cambodia is in the rural areas is we teach medical students how to manage chronic long-term diseases, Cambodian and Singapore students. And part of it we always do is to teach them about lifestyle modification, because even in these rural areas, they've got this wealth of fruit and vegetable, but there's ultra-processed food coming in, and things like canned sardines and hot dogs, and people want to eat that. So we also, part of education is to teach medical students and villagers how to eat right and how to educate, so that they don't need our services as doctors. My aim is really, I don't want you to have to see, I want you to see me and share a meal with me. I don't want to see you as a patient. And in Cambodia, we also met this wonderful, he's a man, he's a Jesuit he's a Jesuit brother. He's 85 years old, and he's been in Cambodia volunteering since 1989. So, from the times of their civil war until now, and he teaches what is called SRI, the system of rice intensification, where they teach farmers how to improve their rice yield by 3 times, do it organically, no need to use machinery, no need to use chemicals, don't need to use herbicide, pesticides, and you triple the yield. And they've taught thousands of Cambodian farmers this. And it's such, it's so wonderful to me that there are people like this on earth, and it doesn't matter what your beliefs are and everything. They are just out to say, we just want to do good. This is, we had a trip, we went to Turkey, and I'd like to share with you in Turkey. So we have friends in Turkey. They live near the Syrian border, and they're very warm and gracious people. And they invited us, and this was last year during Ramadan. So they invited us to join their family. So we took a domestic flight. We went to their place near the Syrian border, their hometown, and they welcomed, and they said, "Oh, it's fasting month, but you are not fasting, so we want to give you food to eat." Then we said, "No," we share them, say, we respect the fact that you are fasting. So if you are fasting, we will fast with you." And they said, and they were, and they were very touched by that. And then we told them, and then we don't eat meat. So they say, so to them, they said, wow, and they were asking a lot of questions about, wow, what is it? What about plant-based food? And they said, since you respect our beliefs and our culture, and you fast with us, and you don't eat when during the fasting hours, when we break fast, they made their meals, which are usually having lamb and everything, also became vegan. So you see, it became, we have shared plant-based eating, and we've shown respect, and we've made wonderful new friends. And it's just like I say, it's just what makes traveling so much fun and so much meaningful. And this is Thailand, and Thailand is like, I don't know, to me, it's like a vegan heaven. I just share like this restaurant in Thailand is completely 100% vegan, and you can bring even a carnivorous person there, and he will love the food. So it's completely vegan, and it's run by 2 ladies. It's not, it's started by 2 ladies who just are so passionate about plant-based eating that they have this fine dining restaurant and they take traditional Thai food from all over the country and they make it 100% plant-based and they serve it in these wonderful settings. And it is, and to know that, and when we visit these type of places, it just gives you hope for the world again, that there are such, there are such people around, and in every way, every person is doing their little bit for Mother Earth. And then we stayed in this hotel in Bangkok. It's a simple place, it's low cost, it's like a boutique hotel, and it's 100% plant-based. And if and the food is, the breakfast is vegan. They take care, they're very careful about sustainability and the environment. And it's a local, it's a local startup. And so I like to stay in places like this that really support young entrepreneurs who want to, have a business, but continue to have a heart and stick true to their principles. And like I say, everywhere I go, I have no problems, as in plant-based eating, you will always find something to eat. It's a bit more difficult if you want to look for meat because you're not going to catch an animal and do that. But plant-based eating is wonderful because everywhere you go, I never starve and I always thrive. So I'd like to end here, and I'm happy if anybody has any questions or have any experiences they want to share. I'd be happy to share from a health perspective or just from a traveling perspective. Okay, thank you.
And then so much, Dr. Johnson, on the wonderful sharing and how you cater for your journey having a plant-based diet throughout the world. It's truly insightful what you've shared. And I guess what you have done is that you have shown to us how you avoid the processed food and not just plant-based, and also the process of which you avoid the microplastics and spreading the meaning of having plant-based around the world. Thank you. So, members, do you have any questions for Dr. Johnson?
Do you have a website?
Yes, please, Jan.
Do you have a website?
No, I don't have a website. But I mean, if they can reach out to me, I'll be happy to, share or experience or advice wherever I can. I haven't got to the point of having a website yet.
You know what you could, I guess, Dr. Johnson, what you can do is you can start a chat group.
Okay.
That would be easy. When you were speaking, I'm just wondering, how long have you been in Singapore?
Oh, I've been in Singapore a long time. I was not born in Singapore, but
you speak, the way you speak, you're speaking like us.
Yes, correct. Oh, I was born in Malaysia, but I've been in Singapore since I'm 2 years old, and I'm now 56, going on 57.
So you spend your whole life here in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, in Singapore. I'm a Singaporean, yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. Great accent that you have.
Thank you.
All right. So if you can, Brother Charles, if you can get out from the slide.
Okay, how to exit?
Let's stop share. I think somewhere. Are you on the laptop?
Yes, I am.
The stop share, I think it's somewhere on the top. You see that? On your bar, at the bar icon right at the top. Can you see that? Or right at the bottom?
Layout options. My goodness. I just changed my laptop and I cannot find how to stop the sharing. I know how to start it, but I don't know how to stop it. Maybe you just yeah, is it off already?
Right. Okay. Well, while you're doing that. Okay, great.
Okay.
We hang on a second. Right. So thank you, Kanan, so much for everybody for attending this. If there are no further question, Kanan, so much for your participation and also listening to the great three sharers that we have today. And again, for all of us in Sochi, it's another going to be another busy weekend for us. And not forgetting that the following week, or a couple of weeks later, we're going to have a diligence day for those in Malaysia and the prostration pilgrimage. All right. Okay. So with that note, if I may, can I request now to pay our reverence, our devotion and gratitude to the three jewels with three bows. So, first bow, second bow, third bow. We also offer a bow to our boat masters. Bow. All right. Okay, Kanan, so much again. And everybody, you all have a great weekend, and we'll hope to see you back again next Saturday. All right.
Brother Chin, brothers and sisters. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.